Hello again, this is Cloud the Tank once again, and this is going to be finally a new part on the Seeburg SL-100 Carnival. This is going to be on its front door, on its new front door for the speakers. I got tired of freaking waiting and trying to find a way to plane this board down to 1 inch, since this is 1 1/4 inch thick. It's too thick for me to use at this moment in time, so I managed to I'm going to plane this down manually, since I don't have a planer that's thick enough so I can get this planed. And you can see that I'm sitting at a freaking 1 1/4 inch here. So I need to get this thing down to 1 inch right here, which is kind of buried by this little tab thing. So it's gonna be a lot of work, so I'm gonna have to try to work with it and get this thing down. And I'll probably do this while having the camera rolling. But I'll see if I manage to do some magic of editing. I'll be able to speed this along, so that way I don't have to worry about this. So let's get this started. So we gotta plane this thing down to 1 inch, so that way we can use it. Alright, let's see where this thing is at here. Still got a very long ways to go here. All right, around on this board. That thing makes it look like it's only divided in half, though. Take longer than expected. Okay, so the sanding belt that I was trying to use is an 80 grit, and it was not doing it for me. It seemed like it was going to take forever for this thing to get through. So now I switched my grade to a 50, so I got it really rough. That way we can actually really tear some stuff up. So I can really tear this thing out, so that way I can get to my 1 inch that I want. And apparently that other 80 I was trying to use started to break a little bit, so I'm gonna use this to see if I can get this thing down even faster. Alright, so now I'm at the point on my Seeburg Carnival, since I showed you all the planing I did. I had to trim a little extra off on that one side, so I'm hoping that that's going to be where I want it, but I have to give it a shot when I get the pieces back. Now, plus I'm going to have to smooth that section out. It's a bit rough, so I'm going to need to get some sandpaper or just get a belt sander and flatten that side down so that way it's smoothed out. I got the first set of holes drilled. I'm not going to worry about this pattern I drew on here. All this is going to be taken off anyway, because I'm going to probably plane this some more. Then I'm going to coat this so that way it doesn't get ruined as easy. I'm going to put some treatment on this once I get done. So I got the first speaker already set up. I got the screws set to where the speaker's going to sit. I used the second speaker to drill the holes. And I'm going to use this one here to drill some more holes on this side. One thing I might do for when I decided to position where my speakers are, I decided to position this speaker and another one close together. So when you go to look at this, one speaker is going to be sitting about right here, then another one's going to be sitting like really close, like right next to each other. And if I'm going to go ahead like this, and just in case if I don't want to use the old tweeters that's inside the SL-100 Carnival right now, I'll actually have a little bit of wiggle room to put in like a small tweeter here and a small little tweeter over here. Put them in those two spots. Then I can, so I can actually have the two main speakers, which are these two 10 inches here, and then put like little small 3-inch tweeters or something in these corners here. Something that'd be really nice. Just a thought. So that's what I'm gonna do this. I want to go ahead and drill the other holes for the other speaker. Then I'll be taking these 10 32nd 1.5 screws here. I'm gonna put it through the board. Now I'm gonna use a countersink to sink the head into the board itself, so that way they won't stick out when I put the cloth in the steel thing on the other side. Alright, I got the screws now set and the speakers are now mounted. This is what it looks like now. I got the holes drilled out. I ain't drilled them out all manually. I just used my Black & Decker portable 12-volt drill on that. So I just went and drilled all the holes. Then I drilled some countersinks on the back on the other side. So as you can see, now the screws are all set into place. So now what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to draw like a circle around these bolts where the speaker's gonna be and where I'm gonna cut the holes at. So I'm gonna draw some. I'm gonna see if I can find a pencil around here, and I'm gonna draw some circles. And when I get a chance, I'm gonna be cutting 2 full circles. I was gonna do this type of pattern right here, but since these speakers are so small, it's because they're only 10 inches, not 12. Because the original one actually had 12 inches, so I decided to put these 10s like I was saying. So we're going ahead and cut. I'm going ahead and put a circle, at least trying to get from like the inside of this, right about in here, around the circumference. Cut some circles. And once I get the circles, then I'll draw holes where the circles are going to be, and we're going to cut the things out, and this thing will be ready to get stained. Okay, I got this board pretty much set. I got it only sitting on blocks and some wood to try to balance it out. I'm going to use this thing here, this saw, and I'm going to cut this circle out here. I put a small thin black line which I'm going to try to follow it. Looks a bit confusing, but I know which line to follow. This will be this thick line right here. So I'm going to cut this thing out, and hopefully it'll be as straight as it'll be. It might be a bit off, but as long as it's not going to let the speaker fall through, I think it should be alright. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing out, and we'll see what the end result is. Okay, I'm doing a voiceover on this part here because there was audio, but as you can see, I got the hole now cut out. It's not exactly perfectly round. There's a spot right there I'm pointing at. That's a little notch, but I can take that out later. So, but everything looks to turn out pretty good. So there's gonna be a lot of sanding. Here's the slug I cut out. As you can see, there's a big giant hole, and there's where that piece I would say comes in. That's what made that overlap. So that thing is going to be tossed into the junk, so who cares what's going to happen to that. Now I'm going to go ahead to go ahead and cut the other circle out, and I'll show you after we're done with that. Okay, now our second hole is cut out, and as you can see, I actually did a little bit of a problem when I did this one. So what actually happened, instead of cutting that thing straight, apparently I must have cocked it just enough a little bit where it actually cut it on an angle. So instead of the slug completely falling out, it got wedged in. So because I wasn't holding this thing here correctly. So when I put it on there, it looks like I'm actually holding it flat, but in actuality, the tip of it's actually a little bent. Now I'm not sure if it's actually done on purpose or what, but this thing is completely bent, and I couldn't keep it flat whatsoever. So, and I'm going to show you right here. As you can see, the front part kind of bends up a bit. So it could be the way that it's designed, and I was just like being like an idiot and holding it wrong or something while I was cutting this. But anyways, I now had to go back through it a little bit, try to straighten it out. So, but it's all good now. We're gonna do some more filing, so we should be okay. Don't worry. On to the next part. Alright, as you can see, the holes are now finally, they've been sanded down. I used two different types of sandpaper. Mainly, actually, one actually. I used this black sandpaper here, which is this right here. I guess it's a T421. I probably wouldn't go by that 220 because I think there's some other ones that's got that same number on it. So I was going to use this to finish it, but since the finish feels pretty good on here, I'm just going to leave it as is. The holes are not perfect, but it's going to have to do. I'm not going to be too picky about this thing. Stupid mosquitoes. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stain this here. I'm going to stain this wood. Then I'm going to use some polyurethane right here to coat it, so that way this thing will rot out like that particle board did. So, and I kind of want to make this darker than what it is, so I decided to buy some traditional cherry wood stain. So I'm going to use that to put that on there. And I even bought some little cloth, which I'm assuming that should work. I'll just put that on this and I'll wipe it on the surface. So I'm going to do all of that and I'll show you what the end result is. Okay, I got the first coat on. I'm going to let this dry for a little bit. Then I'm going to put on maybe 2 to 3 more coats. Probably maybe about 2 more. Put it all around this and also the inside of the speakers there. And I'll be getting the outsides later. So now I'm not sure how well this stuff's going to work on the backside with all the marker still on there. So if it doesn't work out, then I'll have to see if I can try sanding it all off or something to see if I can get it to clear. Okay, I got the coats on there and also got some polyurethane I decided to put on there. I put on this stuff right here. It says to let it sit for 4 hours. So we're going to let this thing sit overnight. I'm just going to have the door shut on here. There should be enough air circulating to keep this thing from doing much of stuff. Hopefully no bugs land on it, because if they do, then they're going to get stuck, and I'll probably have to, probably have to peel the stuff off and have to start over or something. But I put it around the edges, I put it on the top, and I first used this right here, but this stuff kind of falls apart a little bit, so it's probably recommended not to use that. And the can says to use a brush, so I used a brush I grabbed out of recycling, which pretty much kind of ruined it, since I don't have any good paint thinner to soak it in. But I don't know, so I'm just gonna have to. It's just gonna have to be thrown back away, I guess. Not a huge loss, but anyways. So I'm gonna let this stuff soak and let it keep itself sealed on here. But I think it actually turned out pretty good. Now I just gotta work on the other side to get all the markings off, and which should be good to go to get ready to get this thing finished up. I still got to get the aluminum pieces and try around the outside frame to see how they're all going to fit on this board. Just in case if it don't work out, then I'll have to flatten the other side some more. Flatten it out so that way the pieces will be able to slide on there along with the cloth, which I bought two kinds, which I'm going to debate on which one I'm going to put on here. So, and also the metal grill as well with the Seeburg logo, which I gotta relocate that because I think I got it stored somewhere. So I'm gonna have to find out, see where I placed it at, and put that back on the metal grill, and make sure the metal grill doesn't have any more rust. Or else I'll have to recoat it again with the blue metallic paint that I originally put on there. Then I can put it over this, but it's gonna go on this side along with the cloth. The cloth goes on here first, which I might either staple or glue on there. And also, on top of which, just in case in the future, if I do want to place tweeters in here, I'll have to do some more work on this board. But for now, we're just going to leave it as is.